Hi, my name is Mel, and the following presentation will provide a guide on segmenting networks, hardware and software to enhance security and performance. We will cover concepts, some practical steps, implementation techniques, integration strategies, and best practices to maintain a segmented IT environment. And you should segment your IT environment. You should segment your network. Honestly, if you have not got a segmented or micro-segmented network, you really should. It's way more secure this way to protect like database servers and anything else like email servers from what might, like the public-facing web server or browsers might have. Okay. So we will begin by understanding the core concepts and benefits of segmentation. Then we explore network segmentation in detail, followed by hardware and software segmentation techniques. Finally, we discuss integration, security best practices, and troubleshooting for segmented environments. Segmentation is the process of dividing IT environments into distinct zones to improve security and manageability. Yes, absolutely it does. And this section outlines its definition, benefits such as enhanced security and performance, and common challenges faced during implementation. Segmentation involves dividing networks, hardware or software into smaller, manageable parts or segments. This limits access between segments, reducing the risk of unauthorized activity and improving control over resource. Absolutely, it does, yes. And if they're going to move on to another part of the network, they should have to reauthorize themselves, just saying. Segmentation enhances security by isolating critical assets and limiting attack surfaces. It also optimizing performance through better traffic management and reduces the impact of network failures or breaches. Yep. Implementing segmentation can be complex due to legacy systems, integration issues, and the need for ongoing management. Considerations include security with usability, so balance the two, and ensuring proper configuration and monitoring. And look, I would honestly, if you can get rid of legacy systems or start having a plan to upgrade, because legacy systems have got a lot of issues. So if you can, I would start putting in a plan to upgrade legacy systems. This section provides a practical approach to network segmentation, starting with addressing the current architecture, identifying assets, and planning segmentation strategies such as VLANs or virtual LANs, subnets, and firewalls. Begin by mapping out the existing network infrastructure, documenting connections, devices, and traffic flow to understand the baseline before segmentation. Yeah, look, before you start anything, draw you can use Cisco packet tracer or something like that. Draw a logical and physical thing, even on paper, do it just roughly even to show what there is. And you should also have a list of all your assets, all right? And you got to know who's got to connect with what and what use they need to make of what. Really, you've got to begin by just looking at what they've got, how they use it, and who uses what, okay? Classify devices and systems based on their functions and security requirements. So customer data and any financial data is going to be very important. Distinguishing critical assets from general users or demilitarized zone components. All right, so in the demilitarized zone would be the public part that's got the least amount of security. So it might be your web servers or something like that. Okay, it might be email servers. It's not meaning no security, but it's got the least amount of security, all right? And you do want to firewall your DMZ, but you also want to firewall between your DMZ and any other network parts, all right? It's just critical. Develop segmentation plans using virtual LANs or VLANs for logical separation, subnetting for IP address management, and firewalls to control traffic between segments. Yes. And firewalls can be hardware or software or both, and you'd probably use some combination of. Modern firewall systems use some combination of both. The following section covers hands-on steps to configure VLANs and subnets, apply firewalls and access controls, and validate the segmented network for security and functionality. Set up VLANs on switches to create isolated broadcast domains and assign subnet IP ranges to control traffic boundaries effectively. I've done a video on subnetting and look at that to help what we're talking about here, but I'll go into all this elsewhere as well. Define and enforce firewall policies to restrict traffic between segments based on security requirements, ensuring only authorized communications occur. So you can set it up to reduce like any IPs are restricted or rules on certain protocols, different things you can do, okay? Conduct thorough testing to verify that segmentation rules work as intended. Include penetration testing and monitoring traffic flow to detect misconfigurations. And you want to thoroughly test it, yes. Hardware segmentation involves isolating physical devices or groups to improve security and manageability. This section discusses identifying critical hardware, physical grouping, and network hardware segmentation. Determine which hardware devices are essential to operations or security, such as servers, switches, and sensitive appliances, to prioritize their segmentation. So database servers would be sensitive, I would think. Physically separate hardware based on function or security level using dedicated racks, rooms, or secure zones to minimize unauthorized access and interference. So if you're going to have all the hardware in one room, you could use a separate rack for hardware that's for like based on like needs high security levels or something. You certainly would keep any hardware, whether it's low risk or high risk or medium risk, in like good secure areas. You just would not have any, you know, Tom, Dick or Harry being able to access it, right? Only authorized people there. Segment network hardware by dedicating devices to specific segments or functions, controlling traffic flow and reducing the risk of cross-segment contamination. Explore best practices for data center hardware layout, secure device management, access policies, and ongoing monitoring to maintain hardware segmentation integrity. Organize hardware to facilitate segmentation, include physical zoning, cabling strategies, and environmental controls to support security and efficiency. So look, if you are going to have one area, you could have like separate racks for separate areas or groups that you intend to service or separate functions. And certainly any area that's going to have physical network hardware, you would have in more secure settings, okay? And I would have biometric controls as well as perhaps PIN numbers to get into any server rooms or rooms that have got like this cabling network-based hardware, all right? Implement strict access controls and management protocols for hardware devices, ensuring only authorized personnel can configure or access critical components. Yep, absolutely, yes. So, like a lot of your routers and switches, you can set passwords for them, and your room that's got any of these in them, you would certainly have them with a security door with an alarm like in the picture, or I would have biometric controls like fingerprint, iris scanner, something like that as well. Yeah, because otherwise you're just asking for trouble. Regularly monitor hardware segments for operational status and security, performing maintenance and updates to prevent vulnerabilities and failure. Okay, and look, again, you want to have both hardware and software controls in here. All right, so even to your general just office building, people should go to reception to be direct, like if they need to go or be met by one of your workers there. So if you've got people coming in to do work, like make sure that there's someone to meet them, that they've got like physical photo ID, they've got some kind of like way of knowing who they are, because you can't just let be, oh, I'm just going to go work in your computer, and like, who are they, Software segmentation focuses on isolating applications and workloads using techniques such as microsegmentation, containerization, and role-based access to control to enhance security. Divide applications into smaller segments or microsegments to limit lateral movement of threats and enforce granular security policies within software environments. Now, containerization is a big thing now because that really does help with a lot of stuff. Leverage containers and virtual machines to isolate applications and services, providing flexible, scalable segmentation at the software layer. Yep. And we'll go into like containers and virtual machines elsewhere, but certainly this is a way of solving a lot of the problem. Having virtual networks, yeah, definitely a big thing. Implement RBAC or role-based access control to restrict user permission based on roles, ensuring that user access only the software components necessary for their task. So it's principle of least privilege, defense in depth. You can also personal access management. You can do all sorts of things. Password access management, identity access management. There's lots of different ways and means you can use to help with this, and you should look at all of it, really. This section covers deploying containers and VMs, which are virtual machines, covering application level firewalls and managing software segments continuously for security and performance. Set up containers and VMs to create isolated environments for applications, simplifying deployment and enhancing security through separation. Yep. And your containers are all in virtual in the cloud, and you'd obviously need to have someone who knows what they're doing with that. So you might want to talk to a specialist in cloud virtualization. But we will go through the basics in another video, but this is where you would obviously have to have someone who knows what they're doing. Apply firewall rules at the application level to monitor and control data flows between software segments, preventing unauthorized access or data leakage. Yep. Maintain software segmentation through regular updates, monitoring, and adjusting policies to respond to evolving security needs and performance demands. Effective segmentation requires coordinating network, hardware, and software efforts. This section highlights integration techniques, automation tools, and policy development. Align segmentation across layers to create a unified security posture, ensuring that each segment complements the others without gaps or overlaps. Use automation platforms and orchestration tools to deploy, manage, and update segmentation policies efficiently, reducing human error and operational overhead. Yeah, there's a lot of automation tools here that really will help with this sort of stuff, okay? Develop clear segmentation policies and maintain through documentation to guide implementation, auditing, and future updates consistently. Yeah, look, this is something that comes with anything to do with IT, network, cybersecurity, all of it, is have documentation, have very clear policies about what is there, what sort of assets you've got, what has been done specifically. So that if somebody leaves and someone else has to come in, they know what they're doing. They've got some sort of idea, they've got network diagrams. I mean, there's nothing worse than going to a place or having to try and deal with where there's absolutely no documentation or very poor and just things are a mess and they're not working and you're just like, like it's really difficult to know where to go with that sort of stuff. It's not impossible, but like if you document, have incident response procedures, have risk management procedures, have run books, playbooks, have disaster recovery procedures, have, network update policies, have security policies, both hardware, software, also getting into who should have access to what. Everything should be documented and printed out, create little binders for yourself, because seriously, you will save yourself and your company a lot of trouble by doing that, okay? Segmentation should align with security frameworks and compliance requirements. This section discusses monitoring, incident response, and audit readiness, because pretty much every government in the world has got some kind of compliance requirements. So you need to cover both your backside and your company's backside by making sure you are in compliance with what the regulations is to do with whatever country you're operating in. And if you're multi-country based, then you have to align with every country in that way. So you should, get your legal experts and you should have all of this. This is what the compliance is, and have it in legal language and simple language for non-legal experts. So the technical people need to know what they need to do, all right? And this is vital. And you've got to have audits, so you should have logging set up. You should have network monitoring tools that save to logs that you save to external drives. And you can separate it, say this is February's logging of people's, getting into the system, log-ons and log-offs. This is for network monitoring we're monitoring this particular part of the network, or we're monitoring people who work after hours or remote workers. You should have logs for all of it. And so there are a lot of network tools to log these things. And this is so if you ever get audited or need digital forensics or anything like that, you are covered because you've done everything by the book, all right? And look, doing everything by the book can be difficult. So this is where you might need to talk to specialists both in legal and in networks and in cybersecurity to make sure that everything you've done everything you can, all right? That's reasonable and rational, all right? Ensure segmentation strategies meet standards like NIST, ISO 27001 or PCDSS to enhance overall security posture and regulatory compliance. Implement comprehensive monitoring and logging of segmented environments to detect anomalies promptly and respond to incidents effectively. Yes. Maintain segmentation, documentation and controls to facilitate successful audits and demonstrate adherence to legal and industry regulations. And the following section covers common issues encountered in segmented environments, performance optimization, and the importance of regular reviews and updates. Address frequent problems such as misconfigured rules, connectivity challenges, and policy conflicts with systematic troubleshooting approaches. Yep. Continuously monitor segmented networks and systems to identify bottlenecks or inefficiency and optimize configurations accordingly. And a lot of these monitoring tools, network monitoring tools, are partially, if not fully, automated, which saves a lot of work because you will need to monitor, and especially in cybersecurity, you need to monitor for like irregular issues, like people that could be attempting to hack the system, or even if there's just like too much load on the network or something like that. Yeah. Conduct periodic assessments and updates to segmentation strategies and policies to adapt to changes in technology, threats, and business needs. Yes, and look, you should probably do this every 6 months. Depending on your business, might need to be more or less, but I would certainly do it at least every year. 6 months, I think is reasonable for most. But if you've got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of changes, you need to update your assessments and all that strategies as well. Okay. So in conclusion, effective segmentation of networks, hardware and software is essential for enhancing security and performance. By understanding concepts, following implementation steps and maintaining best practices, organizations can protect assets and optimize IT environments. Okay, thank you for your time.